Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. On Fridays, we talk about the product owner role in Scrum. We talk about patterns and anti-patterns that relate to ours and the team's collaboration with the product owner. And we've also put together a course to help you navigate that relationship. There's 18 modules, nearly 8 hours of tools, techniques, videos, handouts, presentations you can use to help you and your team work better with your product owner. The course is available at bit.ly/coach-your-PO. All lowercase, all one word, that's bit.ly/coach-your-PO. And now, on to the show, the Product Owner Show. Hello everybody, welcome to our Friday TGIF and Product Owner episode this week with Pino Decandia. Hey Pino, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Vasco. Thank you.
So let's imagine we are in a nice piazza in Torino.
Yeah.
Having an Aperol Spritz is my favorite drink, so That's why I go for that. And the Alps seem to be like the place where you definitely need to get an Aperol. So we're having an Aperol Spritz, and you know, it's nice weather out there. It's warm, and you know, we're just outside talking, and we're talking about product owners, and we're going to talk about two types of product owners. We'll talk about a great product owner in a minute, but let's start first with the scary story, right? Like the most interesting story. We all love to hear scary stories with a nice drink at the same time. So share with us, what was the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career?
I have a few. Maybe the worst is the committee of product owners.
How does that work? Like how does
it doesn't? It just doesn't.
So explain to us how it doesn't work, and also the impact on the team and some of the symptoms we might observe.
Yeah, I give you a practical example of one of the teams of the organization I'll be working in. You have the official product owner, which is someone coming from the business, yes. Then you have the technical product owner, which is one that comes from IT. Then you have the external product owner, which is something that comes from the external consultancy company, where the organization hires developers from. So that's the structure. What happens is that as Scrum Master, I started to talk to these three people, try to understand who is the product owner, and I couldn't really get a real product owner because it was not designed like that. So the effect is that each time a decision needs to be made, we had a conversation at a minimum between these three product owners. Conversation was, yes, business, I want to do this because it's important for the business. Technical, oh, right, but you can't do this because I want to migrate whatever database before doing it. And the external product owner said, oh, that would be absolutely great. At the same time, we don't have that competence in the company. So our people have been hired to do something different. So, you know, this is a conversation at a minimum. Or you may even experiment some boycotts between people. You know, depending on the hierarchy, in this case, usually the business product owner doesn't have a real power on people because it's not their boss. And usually the technical product owner is the boss. So what happens here is that the business product owner says something, but what is really done is something different.
And the team doesn't even know.
The team doesn't know who needs to listen to. Even a Scrum Master efforts to create, something shared about prioritization and stories prioritization is useless because the people have their role to be played and they play it. They play to the bottom. Absolutely. So maybe the committee of product owners is
the committee PO also reminds me of a very common anti-pattern, also in product owner role, but in organizations and how they work mostly, which is this idea that the committee is there to decide what needs to be done. So not the vision, not the customer's needs, not what kind of customer problems we're trying to solve, but what needs to be done, right? Like the task. It's mostly a discussion around tasks.
Yeah.
What are the tasks we need to prioritize? What are the tasks we need to work on? And this reminds me that the task-oriented definition of product development is a detail-oriented, a micromanagement, a control-based oriented perspective on how to work in product development. And it sounds to me, I would like to hear your opinion, that a committee could work if what they focused on was discussing who needs to be served, what problem we need to solve, and how do we know we solved it. And then the team would decide what we do in order to solve that problem. What do you think about that?
I think you're totally right. I have experimented many times, even information coming from the portfolio management team that look like tasks. And you know what was funny? Well, I say it was funny. Is that in that company, portfolio management team came with tasks to be done, and they asked to the teams to detail the tasks, and they were like, "What do you mean? They're already tasks. We don't have any work to do." Well, that means that when you get tasks and you don't get goals or problem to be solved and measures that tells you that you're there are no conversation to be done into the team except some technical stuff, but you don't have any business conversation inside the team if you get tasks from the product management or the portfolio management, which is a very sad situation.
Yeah, they
uh,
become hands, right? The
yeah.
team are just hands at that point.
Okay, ahead. You might just even in that case, people that write down tasks cannot write everything, cannot know anything. So you have in that case you may find some spaces of creativity into that, because they cannot. No one can really write down all the tasks needed for a product to be delivered. So you may find something. And in that case, that happened to me a couple of times. In that case, when you find that space in terms of time, of course, you may even propose something different to the manager, something they didn't think about. If you do this, and that happened in this example with a very nice idea about neutralization of CO2 in the supply line. When that happens, you get some bit of trust from the management, and when that happens, you may start talking about goals and outcome-based results. So it's a balance to be found, but even when they give you just task, you may find something, you may find a space.
And that's our job, right? Like turn that conversation around. And what a very simple set of questions we can ask could be, for example, okay, so why is this important?
Yeah.
And within that question, we can ask, okay, if that's what it needs to give someone, who's that someone, right? Can we ask them? Can we somehow interact with them, right? That's a very good point. And by turning that conversation around, we're helping both the team and the product owner, because we're helping the product owner focus on what their added value is, because their added value is not tasking out something. Their added value is this discovering and deciding on the why we're doing something. And that was a set of anti-patterns that we discussed, of course, but we also need to talk about potentially the best product owner you've ever worked with, Pino.
I have it.
How did they work?
I have it. He's still in my heart. This guy, well, he knew the product. He knew exactly what problem needed to be solved. We were working at that time to a budget system, a software for budget management in a big company, and he knew the stuff definitely. So which is very very important. He didn't need to ask someone else about the product because he knew the stuff. He was not unaware about technical issues, so he could have a conversation with the team in terms of prioritization. And he was always the face of the choices in front of the client. He was always there by saying, I decided because 1, 2, 3, I decided, I took this chance. He was very brave, which is a skill, I think, for the product owner. And he always, when I asked the question, why is that important? he always has an answer. I could remember his diagrams based on classical two axis matrix, and he could define all the drivers for the impact, and ask the team to define all the drivers for the effort. And he could relate even the user stories, not just the goals, even the user stories to that matrix, so that at any point in the sprint, everyone had on the wall. It was before pandemic. Had on the wall the reason why what they were doing was important. That was great. Absolutely, that's the best product owner I've ever had ever.
So what I hear from this product owner is that they knew how to speak both the business language, so talking to the customer and defending their decisions, as well as the team's language. So having some knowledge of technology
yes.
concerns and being able to discuss that with the team. And then the other thing was that knowing this or being familiar with this, so the business language and the team language, he tried to converge those two, synthesize those two perspectives in this what you call the matrix, right? So the value drivers and then the effort drivers, and then he would compare. And I'm guessing, you didn't say it, but I'm guessing from what you said that he obviously focused on the stories and the goals or outcomes that had the biggest impact with the least effort, right?
Right, exactly.
And for me, this is the core of the product owner. In fact, if I would say, what's the most important job of the product owner, I would say it's deciding what not to do.
Oh, yes.
Because it's so easy to decide what to do, right? Like I very often see backlogs in teams that have, hundreds and some even thousands of items. And I'm thinking there's no way you know why those things are there.
Yes.
Right? Maybe 5, 10 why they are there, but you don't know the rest. And of course, I'm talking about the product owner. The product owner doesn't know why they are there. Or they might say things like, well, a customer requested it, or it came from support, but that's not a reason. That's a cop-out, right? I'm saying a customer requested it because I can't do the effort, either because of lack of skills or lack of interest. I can't do the effort of figuring out why that is important for the customer.
Right. I can even remember from this product owner, his schemas on each review, you could take to the client, to the final client, a possible roadmap of things, and you could see how detailed the roadmap looked like, just in terms of title, in the next 2 sprints, and how just not detailed it was after that. So it was not, well, in that time, we always had something like 20 stories at the same time written, no more than 20 stories. So no more than a couple of sprints. It was really, really fast, very fast. And it was the only time when, we had 6 months for the project. We finished in 4. We added something more at same price, of course, in the remaining month and a half, and everybody took 15 days off at the end. It was really, really cool, and the client was happy.
Absolutely.
It just happened once. Okay.
That sounds like the perfect project, and also it highlights how important the product owner role is for teams to succeed. Pino, we're getting close to the end here, but before we go, where can we find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Oh, well, you may find me on LinkedIn. I'm Pino Decandia. You may easily find me. You may find me on my company website, which is agilereloaded.com, and you may write to me. So you'll put me down a message. I don't have any Twitter and no Facebook. I'm not very social. I know that's something people tell me I need to improve on that, but I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. So you want to talk to me, feel free to contact me.
And absolutely. We'll put the link on the show notes so that people can connect. And why not ask a few follow-up questions from the episodes we've had this week. Pino, it's been a pleasure. So thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thank you very much, Vasco. It's been a pleasure.
One more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast is over. But there's a lot more we have to share. We have developed our own membership site where you find a community of active and engaged Scrum Masters. In this site, you get access to exclusive content and get to interact with us, your podcast hosts, as well as the best Scrum Masters in the world. Join us at scrummastertoolbox.com/podcast and keep this podcast free of advertising. See you next week for one more week full of Scrum Master tips and tricks. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.